In a small town nestled between rolling hills, there lived a woman named Sarah. At 28, she had built a life that was comfortable yet predictable. Every morning, she would wake up early, brew a cup of coffee, and glance out at the world from her little apartment. The town was charming, with its quaint shops and friendly neighbors. But after years of the same routine, Sarah felt a deep yearning for something more. Her job at the local library was fulfilling in its own way. She loved being surrounded by books, each one a doorway to another world. But as she shelved the same titles day after day, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was stuck in a loop. While her life was stable, it lacked excitement and adventure. She often found herself daydreaming about traveling to far-off places, meeting new people, and experiencing life in vibrant colors instead of the muted tones of her daily existence. One rainy afternoon, as she sorted through old books in the library, Sarah stumbled upon a dusty novel tucked away on a forgotten shelf. The cover, faded but beautiful, drew her in. As she opened the book, a sense of adventure washed over her. The story was about a woman who dared to leave her small town for a life of exploration, filled with vibrant characters and new experiences. The protagonist faced challenges and fears, but ultimately found her true self in the process. Inspired by the character's courage, Sarah felt a flicker of desire ignite within her chest. What if she could change her story? What if she could step outside her comfort zone and embrace the unknown? That night, she lay awake, contemplating the possibilities. The idea of change excited her, but it also terrified her. The next morning, Sarah made a decision. She would start small. She signed up for a pottery class at the community center, something she had always wanted to try but never had the courage to pursue. On the first day, she walked into the studio, her heart racing. The room was filled with laughter and the sound of clay being shaped. As she introduced herself to the instructor and other students, she felt a mix of anxiety and excitement. The instructor, a lively woman named Margaret, welcomed her with open arms. Pottery is all about experimentation and embracing the messiness of the process, she said, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. Sarah felt a wave of relief wash over her. This was a space where mistakes were not only allowed but encouraged. As the weeks passed, Sarah found herself immersed in the world of pottery. She loved the feel of the clay between her fingers, the way it transformed under her hands. With each class, she grew more confident, experimenting with different techniques and styles. The creative process sparked joy within her, and she met new friends who shared her passion. They would often stay after class, chatting about their lives and dreams, bonding over their shared experiences. Encouraged by her newfound confidence, Sarah decided to take another leap. She signed up for a weekend art retreat in a nearby town. The thought of spending 2 days with strangers, exploring her creativity in a different environment, thrilled and scared her. But she reminded herself of the courage she had found in pottery and pushed through her fears. At the retreat, Sarah discovered a community of artists with diverse backgrounds and experiences. They shared stories, challenges, and triumphs, creating a supportive atmosphere where everyone felt free to express themselves. Sarah participated in workshops, tried new mediums, and even shared her pottery pieces. The feedback was overwhelmingly positive, and for the first time, she felt like she belonged. One evening, as the sun set over the retreat center, casting a warm glow on the gathering, Sarah joined a group around the bonfire. They shared their dreams and aspirations under the stars. Listening to their stories, she felt inspired to embrace her own desires more fully. She realized that change wasn't just about trying new things. It was about discovering who she truly was. The following morning, during a painting workshop, Sarah found herself drawn to a particular canvas, featuring a landscape she had always wanted to paint. With each stroke of the brush, she felt her worries fade away, replaced by a sense of freedom and expression. As she stepped back to admire her work, she felt a surge of pride. It was a beautiful mess of colors that reflected her journey: bold strokes, vibrant colors, and a few splashes of chaos. When she returned home, Sarah felt a sense of purpose she had never experienced before. She transformed her small living room into a creative space, filled with her pottery, paintings, and sketches. Each piece reflected her journey and the courage it took to pursue her passions. The once quiet corners of her apartment now buzzed with inspiration and creativity. With her newfound confidence, she decided to showcase her work at the town's annual arts festival. The thought of putting herself out there was daunting, but she couldn't ignore the excitement bubbling inside her. She spent weeks preparing, creating a collection of pottery and art pieces that told her story of transformation. As the festival approached, Sarah found herself caught between excitement and anxiety. She practiced her presentation over and over, rehearsing how she would share her journey with visitors. What if they didn't like her work? What if she stumbled over her words? But every time the doubts crept in, she remembered the support she had felt at the retreat and the encouragement of her new friends. The day of the festival arrived, and Sarah set up her booth, her heart racing. The vibrant colors of her artwork drew people in, and as visitors wandered by, she shared her journey, explaining how she had found the courage to change her life. To her surprise, people were genuinely interested, offering compliments and encouragement. When a local art gallery owner approached her, expressing interest in displaying her work, Sarah couldn't believe it. This was the opportunity she had always dreamed of, a chance to share her art with a wider audience. She accepted with gratitude, feeling a wave of excitement wash over her. As the months passed, Sarah's art gained recognition, and she continued to push her boundaries. She experimented with new techniques, collaborated with other artists, and even began teaching pottery classes at the community center. Each step reinforced her belief that change was not just a one-time decision, but an ongoing journey. However, the journey was not without challenges. Sarah faced moments of self-doubt, especially when an art piece she submitted to a local exhibition was rejected. For a brief moment, she contemplated giving up. But recalling the supportive words of her friends from the retreat, she reminded herself that every setback was a stepping stone. With renewed determination, she sought feedback, refined her technique, and submitted her work again. This time, she was accepted. As Sarah stood in front of her first class, a group of eager students ready to learn pottery, she felt a mix of excitement and nerves. Teaching was a new experience, and she wanted to inspire her students as others had inspired her. She began the class by sharing her journey of transformation, explaining how pottery had helped her discover her true self. The students listened intently, their eyes wide with curiosity. As she guided them through the basics of shaping clay, Sarah felt a sense of fulfillment wash over her. She loved seeing their creativity blossom, and the joy on their faces as they created their first pieces filled her heart with warmth. Over the following weeks, Sarah built strong relationships with her students. They shared their stories, fears, and dreams, creating a supportive community within the pottery studio. One student, a shy girl named Lily, particularly captured Sarah's attention. Lily often hesitated to try new techniques, fearing she wouldn't succeed. Sarah recognized her own past struggles in Lily and took it upon herself to encourage her. One afternoon, as they worked side by side, Sarah gently nudged Lily to explore her creativity. "You know, it's okay to make mistakes. That's how we learn," she said, smiling encouragingly. Lily looked up, her eyes filled with uncertainty, but also a flicker of determination. With Sarah's support, she began to experiment with her pottery, slowly gaining confidence. As Sarah continued to teach, she realized how much she had grown. She was no longer the timid woman who once feared stepping outside her comfort zone. She had embraced change, and it had transformed her life in ways she never imagined. Inspired by her students, she decided to take on another challenge, organizing an art exhibition featuring their works alongside her own. The idea filled her with exhilaration and fear. Would her students feel ready to showcase their pieces? Would the community support them? After discussing it with her class, Sarah was amazed by their enthusiasm. Together, they began planning the exhibition, brainstorming ideas for promotion and presentation. In the weeks leading up to the event, the studio buzzed with excitement. Sarah watched as her students flourished, their confidence growing with each passing day. They worked tirelessly, creating beautiful pieces that reflected their unique styles and stories. Sarah felt a sense of pride as she witnessed their transformations, knowing she had played a role in their journeys. The day of the exhibition arrived, and the studio was transformed into a vibrant gallery filled with colorful artwork. Friends, family, and members of the community gathered to celebrate the students' achievements. As Sarah stood at the entrance greeting guests, she felt a mixture of nerves and joy. When the doors opened, visitors flooded in, marveling at the art on display. Sarah watched as her students spoke passionately about their creations, their faces glowing with pride. The sense of community and support was palpable, and she couldn't help but feel overwhelmed with gratitude. As the evening unfolded, Sarah took a moment to step back and reflect. She had come so far from the woman who once felt confined by her routine. The courage to change had opened doors she never knew existed, and now she was surrounded by a community of artists who had inspired her just as much as she had inspired them. As the night drew to a close, Sarah gathered her students together. "I'm so proud of each and every one of you," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "You've all shown incredible courage and creativity. This exhibition is just the beginning of your journeys as artists." In the months that followed, Sarah's life continued to evolve. The exhibition had sparked interest in her work, leading to more opportunities for collaboration and teaching. She also started a blog to document her journey and share her experiences with others, seeking the courage to change. Her blog quickly gained traction, resonating with people from all walks of life. Readers shared their own stories of transformation, and Sarah found herself connecting with a community that extended far beyond her small town. She began receiving messages from individuals who felt inspired to pursue their passions, reminding her of her own journey. However, with success came challenges. Balancing teaching, blogging, and her own artistic pursuits often left Sarah feeling overwhelmed. There were days when self-doubt crept in, whispering that she wasn't doing enough, or that she was unworthy of the recognition she had received. On those days, she would reread the heartfelt messages from her students and blog followers, grounding herself in the knowledge that she was making a difference. One evening, while scrolling through her messages, Sarah received an email that caught her attention. It was from an art organization in a neighboring city, inviting her to host a workshop series on pottery and creativity for underprivileged youth. The opportunity filled her with excitement and trepidation. It was a chance to make an impact beyond her community, but it also meant stepping into a new role as a mentor. After contemplating the offer, Sarah decided to accept. She spent weeks preparing for the workshops, researching ways to engage the youth and make the experience meaningful. When the day arrived, she felt a mix of nerves and anticipation. As she entered the community center, she was greeted by a group of energetic kids, their eyes wide with curiosity. Sarah introduced herself and shared her journey, hoping to inspire them to embrace their own creativity. Throughout the workshops, she witnessed their struggles and triumphs, and she felt a deep connection with each of them. One boy, Marcus, particularly resonated with her. He was quiet and reserved, often hesitant to participate. Sarah recognized the fear in his eyes, the same fear she had once felt. With encouragement and patience, she helped him find his voice through art. Slowly, he began to open up, creating beautiful pieces that reflected his emotions. As the workshops progressed, Sarah felt a profound sense of fulfillment. She was not only teaching art, she was empowering these young individuals to believe in themselves and their abilities. The transformation she witnessed in her students mirrored her own journey, and it filled her with hope. One day, after a particularly successful session, Marcus approached Sarah. "Can I show you something?" he asked shyly. He pulled out a small sculpture he had created during the workshop. It was a representation of his dreams, a soaring eagle, wings spread wide. Tears filled Sarah's eyes as she admired his work. "This is incredible, Marcus! You've captured so much emotion in this piece," she said, her heart swelling with pride. In that moment, she realized the true power of art. It had the ability to heal, inspire, and connect people in ways words often could not. As the workshops came to an end, Sarah and the kids organized an exhibition of their artwork. The community center was transformed into a vibrant gallery, showcasing their creations. Friends, family, and community members gathered to celebrate the young artists, and Sarah couldn't have been prouder. When Sarah returned home after the final workshop, she felt a sense of closure and accomplishment. The experience had changed her, reinforcing her belief that the courage to change could ripple out and impact others. She reflected on how far she had come since she first decided to step out of her comfort zone. Back in her apartment, Sarah took a moment to breathe deeply, surrounded by her creations. The walls were adorned with her artwork, each piece telling a story of her journey, of courage, growth, and connection. She felt grateful for every challenge that had led her to this moment. Back in her apartment, Sarah took a moment to breathe deeply, surrounded by her creations. The walls were adorned with her artwork, each piece telling a story of her journey, of courage, growth, and connection. She felt grateful for every challenge that had led her to this moment. As she sat down to write in her journal, she reflected on her experiences. The words flowed effortlessly as she documented her journey, her struggles, and the lessons she had learned. She wanted to inspire others to embrace their own transformations, to find the courage to change. With a renewed sense of purpose, Sarah decided to expand her reach. She began organizing community events focused on creativity and self-expression, inviting artists and creatives to share their stories and skills. The events brought people together, fostering a sense of belonging and support. Through her efforts, Sarah created a safe space for individuals to explore their passions and connect with one another. The community flourished, and she watched as others found the courage to pursue their dreams, just as she had. One day during a community event, Sarah met a woman named Clara, who had recently moved to the area. Clara shared her struggles with feeling lost and unfulfilled. Sarah listened intently, recognizing the familiar spark of fear in Clara's eyes. "I understand how you feel," she said gently. "But I want you to know that change is possible. You just have to take that first step." Encouraged by Sarah's words, Clara decided to join one of the upcoming workshops. Over the following weeks, Sarah watched as Clara blossomed, discovering her own creativity and passion for painting. Their friendship grew, and Sarah felt grateful for the opportunity to support another person on their journey. As Sarah continued to teach, create, and inspire, she realized that the journey of change was ongoing. There were still moments of doubt and fear, but they no longer held her back. Instead, she embraced them as part of her growth. One evening, while reflecting on her journey, Sarah realized how far she had come. The timid woman who once felt trapped in her routine had blossomed into a confident artist, teacher, and mentor. She had discovered the courage to pursue her passions, and in doing so, she inspired others to embrace their own journeys of change. As the seasons turned, Sarah found herself dreaming of new adventures. She longed to explore different cultures, learn new techniques, and connect with artists from around the world. The idea of traveling to an art residency in a foreign country excited her, but it also filled her with trepidation. After much contemplation, she decided to apply for the residency. The thought of leaving her community behind was daunting, but she knew that stepping beyond her comfort zone was essential for her growth. Days turned into weeks as she prepared her application and portfolio, pouring her heart into every detail. When Sarah received the acceptance email, she felt a rush of excitement mixed with nerves. She was going to an art residency in Italy for 3 months. The opportunity to immerse herself in a new culture, learn from talented artists, and explore the beauty of the Italian countryside was a dream come true. As she packed her bags, Sarah reflected on her journey. She had come so far from the woman who once feared change. Each step she had taken had led her to this moment, and she was ready to embrace the adventure ahead. Arriving in Italy, Sarah was greeted by the stunning landscape of rolling hills, vineyards, and quaint villages. The art residency was located in a picturesque villa, surrounded by olive trees and flowers. As she settled in, she felt a sense of excitement and possibility wash over her. During the residency, Sarah met artists from diverse backgrounds, each with their own unique stories and perspectives. They shared ideas, techniques, and experiences, creating a vibrant atmosphere of creativity and collaboration. Sarah felt her artistic voice expanding as she experimented with new mediums and styles. In the evenings, the group would gather for discussions, sharing their thoughts on art, life, and the creative process. Sarah found herself inspired by the stories of her fellow artists, each one a testament to the power of courage and resilience. They became friends, forming a supportive community that encouraged one another to take risks and explore their creativity. One day, while wandering through a local market, Sarah stumbled upon a small art shop filled with handmade ceramics. The vibrant colors and intricate designs captivated her, and she felt a surge of inspiration.